At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
And welcome to the Author Brand Show. I'm your host, Doug Crow, and you're going to want to take notes. That's our byline here. And if you haven't taken notes, go ahead and click below here. You can see you can actually download the notes so you can enjoy the show and then refer to it later, which you're going to want to. Because our guest today, my gosh, she's an author, a best-selling author, and she helps entrepreneurs, small business owners, executives write and launch a lead-generating book in 90 days or less. It's very funny. People ask, why would you want to put somebody else on your show, Doug, who does some of the same things you do? And even this guest asked me that. And I said, a simple answer. Nobody owns one book. So I don't really worry about people in my space because there's plenty of opportunities for all of us. And she's authored 5 books herself. She's a professional writer, entrepreneur, and she knows the importance of how a book can build authority, thought leadership, and credibility. And what we're going to talk about today is something really cool. I don't even know anything about it, so I'm going to learn with you guys. It's the world's first author diagnostic system that gets the root struggles authors face and helps them improve their odds of becoming award-winning, best-selling authors. So without further ado, welcome to our show. 25 years of marketing and book experience, Carma Spence. Carma, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Doug?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm going to talk about this stuff a lot, but I'm really curious about it. We talked before the show started about how most authors fail before they even get started. They're doomed to failure because they don't do some fundamental things, right?
Yeah,
We're going to talk about
absolutely.
that in a minute. That's really important stuff because they all come in with high hopes. So before we get to the meat of that, I want to hear more about you and your background. How'd you get involved with this crazy business?
Oh, I think it's like in my blood or in my
Yeah.
nature because I fell in love with writing at like the tender age of 4.
Mm.
I have a picture of myself and my dad teaching me how to write. And we were living in East Africa at the time, and we were at Mombasa.
Really? Cool.
Yeah, my memories begin there because we moved there when I was like 3.
Mhm.
And one time when I was 4, we were at Mombasa Beach, and my dad wrote my name in the sand. And he asked me, "What does that say?" And I sounded it out. When I realized it was my name,
Uh-huh.
that was the start of me falling in love with my name in print, and I've been in love with my name in print ever since.
You, Karma, I've known you for many years. You're not some egocentric person. I mean, you really want to serve, but it's cute. 4-year-olds like, ooh, those letters make my name. That's what you're in life. That's really neat.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm 4 years old and you start writing books right away. What happened in between 4 and
Oh,
now?
no. I attempted short stories for a really long because I was really more I wanted to be a fiction writer. In
Sure.
fact, my dream at one point in time was to be the youngest published science fiction writer.
Cool.
That didn't happen.
Huh.
Still hasn't happened. Will never happen, at least not with the youngest part. I may eventually publish science fiction, but I
Maybe the
haven't
oldest
yet.
one, right? Do it when you're 100. Yeah.
Oldest one yet. Except that Isaac Asimov, I think, was a little older, but
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, that's beside the point. Um, I got into writing. I had always wanted to write a book. And I think I was like in my 20s, maybe early 30s, when I
Mm.
decided to start writing these cookbooklets for my family
Oh, cool.
as a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
And then a little after the time I was 40, Lulu came out with this
Right.
ability for you to print on demand,
I
and you
remember
just had
that.
to pay
Yeah.
$100. So I paid $100 and published my first book, and I
Yeah.
made all that money back within 6 months without trying. Of course,
Nice.
I had accidentally tapped into a very high used keyword, bundt cakes. People love
I'm,
bundt cakes, and so my first
I'm
book
sorry.
was about bundt
Pancakes?
cake bundt cakes.
Bundt cakes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's a huge one.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's I lucked out, and ever since then, I published another cookbook, and then I started getting into publishing books that were more about business,
Right.
and the rest is history.
I love that. That's great. I remember listening to somebody talk about bundt cakes that there was like, it was like it was something similar. It was crochet or something, some a little slightly more obscure thing. And they had like 1 million subscribers on YouTube. It was a huge
Yeah,
audience that nobody even knew about, right? So bundt cakes
yeah,
was probably, pretty cool.
yeah.
Nice.
I've
Okay.
heard bunny rabbits as pets is also another one of those sort of obscure but really hot
Yeah.
topics.
Interesting. Okay. So, as you know, we've talked a lot over the years about books and what people want to do. What's been, you think, the biggest challenge people face? We'll get to your key thing about how to prevent mistakes ahead of time. But after someone's got a book and they're excited about it, what's the biggest mistake they make in promoting it, marketing it?
Not promoting it and marketing it.
Duh. I
That's
love it.
like
Yeah,
I I think a lot of people I've been talking to a lot of newer authors,
yeah,
the ones who, like, wrote the book without thinking about it now, and they
yeah,
thought their publisher was gonna do it, and, I mean,
mm,
it doesn't matter. You're Stephen King, you still have to market your own book.
yeah,
And, the thing that I'm hearing the most is that writing the book was such a monumental task for them. They're burnt out. They don't have the bandwidth or the energy to market a
right,
book, and so they don't.
right.
Or they
Yeah.
do little things that don't really move the needle.
Yeah, they think if you build it, they will come. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. Sorry.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what are you telling people in terms of all the noise out there, right? With so you and I were around before social media was out, so it was a little bit different then. But now with internet and social, there's so much noise and
yeah,
tens of thousands of messages a day are we're hit with on our heads. How do
yeah.
authors stand out and actually get recognized?
Well, the first is to do it right from the start.
Hmm.
It's like, do the things you need to do before you write the book.
Right.
But if you're at the point where you've written the book, that's when you really need to hone into who is it that is the ideal reader for this
Hmm.
book, and then market to them.
Right.
Other people may buy your book too, that's fine,
Yep.
but you need to focus in. Focusing in actually makes things easier, better, and more lucrative.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes much faster. All right. So I can't wait. I want to hear about this author diagnostic system you have created. So I want to hear about this and give me everything you got on it.
Okay. Well, what I've done is I've taken my, umpteen years of experience,
Hmm.
and I've also done research on what other authors are doing, and I kind of identified these are the key things you need to do in
Hmm.
these different topic areas.
Yep.
And I've developed uh, questions for
Hmm.
each one. And then what I do is I take the person through the question and I answer sometimes, always, never.
Hmm.
And depending on how many sometimes, always, and nevers, they get little green, yellow, or red
Yep.
dots. And at the
Hmm.
end, you get an idea of where you're strong
Hmm.
and where you need some improvement. And then I'm able, given that, because at this point, it's not me just guessing and talking. I've
Right.
actually got data points.
That's smart.
And
Yeah.
then I'm able to really give a good advice to the person.
Hmm. I love that. There's that one book maybe you've heard about. It's 1,001 Ways to Market Your Book. You ever seen that
Mhm.
thing? It's
Yeah,
like
I
this
think I have it on
big.
my shelf somewhere.
Yeah, me too, right? And I make a joke about it. Say there's 1,001 ways to market your book, and you really need to pick three. You can't do
Yeah,
1,001, and you can't do 100 because it dilutes your
yeah.
so much time, right? I mean, so
Call
yeah,
it the
I
book
like that.
marketing buffet.
Yeah, right. It's a
Yeah,
buffet at a buffet. It's like so
yeah,
much
it's
things.
like one of those big, giant Las Vegas buffets where there's 10,000,000 things you can eat,
Right.
and when you go up to the buffet, you don't grab everything and put it well, you might want to, but you
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. It all looks good.
Same thing with book marketing. You go up, you
Mhm.
pick the things you wanna do today.
Right. And a lot of people talk about either the launch versus the campaign, and they get excited about the launch, but um, you know, um, my community, when I'm launching, let's say a book I'm going to do, they might be interested in me in what I post for a day or two, maybe, and after that, it's kind of okay. I heard about that last week.
Yeah.
So, what do you do to keep a person's or keep an audience interested in an over a longer period of time than just launch week?
You integrate it into your overall marketing.
Hmm.
I mean, for example, I do a podcast in the morning 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I will use one of my books as an example for what I'm talking about. So
Ah.
I'm marketing my book, but I'm not marketing my book.
Hmm.
And that's basically what you do. You just sort of, it just becomes a part of what you talk about.
Yeah. Nice, nice. And then what about for speakers, people who want to speak on stages? I mean, it's kind of obvious to say that. Well, it's harder to get hired as a speaker if you're not either an author, an athlete, or you've done something crazy in the world. But how does speaking relate to the book marketing campaigns you guys work with?
Well, the speaking can market your book.
Mm-hmm.
and the book can market your speaking. It depends on which direction you want to go, and
Right.
maybe you want to go both directions. But
Yeah.
you're right. Having author, I think you're like 33% more likely to not only get a gig,
Yeah.
but you're way more likely to get paid for that gig.
Mm.
So being an author really helps with the
Yeah.
becoming a speaker.
Sure.
And the way the book works with speaking is either A, you can sell it in the back of the room. It
Mm-hmm.
can be part one of your offers, or you can use it to get into the speaking gig in the first place,
Right.
either by just saying you're an author
Yeah.
or having speaking based on the book,
Mm-hmm.
or using the book as sort of a way to get your foot into the door.
Love that.
And there are different ways you can do that as well.
Yeah. Let's hear about
Well, one of my favorite ways is pick like 10 people
it. Mm-hmm.
that you want to either get as a client or have them have you speak. Study them a little bit so that you can so you can write a letter to them that says something about, I saw you did this.
Yeah.
This is how we are connected. And I think this book would really help you do something you already said you wanted to do.
Ooh, good. Yeah.
Then you mail them a physical copy of your book with this handwritten, not typed, handwritten letter, maybe in a card,
Mm-hmm.
in like one of those priority mail.
Yeah.
So they're getting three things that really makes you stand out. They're getting bulky mail
Mm-hmm.
that looks urgent, that is personalized and handwritten.
Brilliant.
Even if they don't read your book, they'll read the card and they'll think,
Right.
this person's smart.
Yeah.
I want
So
to have them on my show, on my stage. I want to hire them.
I love that. That is so smart, folks. Both people look at like this digital online marketing mass outreach thing, and you don't like getting spam, so why would you send it? This is so
Yeah.
much wiser to be a sniper on here and focus on
Beautiful about that, it can cost it's like under $200 to do that entire process. Because your
yeah,
books are probably going to cost you $2, $3.
right,
The mailings may be 6 or 7.
right, right, yeah,
But yeah, it's times 10.
yeah.
Yeah.
Makes total sense. I'd love to hear a story from one of your clients, like a challenge they overcame and how you helped them get their book done and out there, like your
Well, I had
favorite.
this one client
Hmm.
who I took through my outlining process,
Hmm.
and what I she still hasn't written the book, but
Yeah,
that's not what my program promised.
yeah,
It promised it would get you the outline, and it did. But
yep.
she got to the point. It was really interesting when she came in to the program. She was like, "I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write." And
Yeah.
so I walked her through my idea
Hmm.
methodology, and then we built out the outline
Nice.
and tied it into her business. So once she
Hmm.
does write that book, I think it'll be a really powerful marketing tool for her.
Yeah.
But we basically bake the marketing in from the idea forward.
I love that. There's so people have everyone's got a story. Everyone's got some value in the world, but people like you can help them, clarify it and give it some at least a roadmap so they know when they're ready to here's what you need to do to pull it off. Um,
Absolutely.
I've also met so many entrepreneurs and whatnot, and like, oh, dude, you've got that. What he just described is 5 different books. It's like they have all these different things. Like, just do one of those this year, and they could do another one, a year or two later. You
Yeah.
run across the same thing where they've got more ideas than they can handle.
I have both. I have the people
Yeah,
who don't know what to write, and then I have the people who are like, "Well, which idea should I write?"
yeah.
And with my methodology for the idea helps with
Uh-huh.
both problems because
There
it
you go.
narrows them in. So it's very, very helpful. But I
Nice.
mean, even I've had that idea. I mean, I started this year, 2024 off, I'm gonna publish a book a month, and I made it the first 3 months.
You
The
did. Good
4th
for you.
month, it didn't quite make it, and I was noticing my sales for each book dropping. So I think that there may
Huh.
have been, like, buyer fatigue or something, so I'm spacing it out. Plus, I mean, see this gray hair? It's all from this year. No, it's not.
You're cute. Do you use Amazon a lot? Do you sell them direct or both? How do you do it?
This year, I decided to do Amazon's, Kindle Unlimited
Yeah.
for because it's a series of 4 books all related to each other. So I
Hmm.
thought I'm experimenting with that to see if it works for me or not.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll find out.
Yeah. I just saw an article that this is old news. I don't know why it came up on my feed, but Amazon is restricting the number of books you can upload to 3 a day. It's like, well, hello AI. I mean, it's just, oh my gosh. I'd love to talk to you about that, because as a writer, editor,
Oh my
publisher, we
gosh.
both know that, yeah, it's there. We can't avoid it, but
Yeah.
I want to get your perspective on it before I give my 2 cents.
Well, I love AI as a brainstorming buddy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
an excellent brainstorming. It is a terrible writer.
Mm-hmm.
It takes things to new heights and it delves and it, oh my
Delves into
gosh.
the realm with a plethora of ideas.
Oh my god. Okay, I will admit that I sometimes use those words.
Yeah, but when we use them, we're human beings. We actually make sense. It's not like, we're on the same page. I just want to get
Yeah.
your feelings on it.
Yeah, and, there's all this software out there that will take an audio and spit out a book. You still
Yeah,
need to
you can swear on
edit
my
it.
show. It's
Just
okay.
edit
We're
it
not FCC regulated. You can say whatever you want.
out of it.
Carm, it's all good. Yeah, we've gone back when it first came out. When it first got popular, I've been out for years. But when it first got
Yeah.
popular, I was nervous for about 2 weeks, and then I started using it, probably like you did. I'm like, oh, I'm okay. We still have some humanity here that we need to be aligned with. And yeah, for
The real
titles,
prob the real problem, though, is that people are using it without thinking.
yep,
It's kinda like when print on demand first came out
right,
and all these really crappy books came out.
right,
That's why self-publishing had such a low,
yeah,
opinion for a while. Well,
right.
AI's there. I'm
Hmm.
not sure AI by itself will ever not go anywhere else. I think it's always gonna need a human being to
I
edit
hope
it
so.
and massage it.
I hope so. I have some friends in tech, and the progress of quality, they're not talking about like a 2 or 5 or 10-fold increase, but like a 10,000-fold increase in
Wow.
quality in a handful of years. Like, it's going to get crazy good. And I'm thinking, like, right now it's just pulling, I don't know. One of my friends has his master's in this. He goes, it's not AI, it's AP. I'm like, what do you mean? It's automated puzzles. It's not even intelligent. It's not
Yeah.
really thinking about these words. It's taking common words in our language. It's called, a language model, right? So um, it takes those words and puts them together based on like other
Formulas and
puzzles. It's not,
frameworks and
yeah, it's not thinking at all.
yeah.
It's got a plethora of ideas, but we delve into the to the words of it. It's it's funky. So yeah, and that I had talked to friends that no, you need to train it to mirror your voice, whatnot, and it does a C- job on mirroring a voice. I've given it several prompts to try to get it to sound like me or a client.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, it's faster for us just to listen to the interviews and write on
Yeah.
the quality stuff that you and I do with stories. It's
Yeah.
vital because it's a horrible storyteller. But for
Lies.
titles, we use
It
it for spinning
lies,
titles. Yeah.
and it doesn't listen to you. You say, "Do not use this word." So what does it do? It
It's
uses this word. It's like, "Stop. Just stop. Okay,
you gotta
forget it.
flip
I'll just
that
do it myself."
puzzle piece around there, Chet. It's just doesn't understand it. But you're right. I love that brainstorming buddy term. You should trademark that. I like that, brainstorming buddy. Because when I'm working on titles, I'm pretty good, but it takes me generally, hours or days to work on titles. And I can
Yeah.
spend 20 in a couple seconds, like, ooh, I could take a piece of this one, piece of that one, and then I still
Mm.
add our humanity to it. Um,
Exactly.
but
Exactly. I do the same thing.
storytelling, not good
Yeah.
storytelling at all.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it's going to get good at not just pulling from the internet, but maybe pulling into our social profiles, what we've already published out there, and
Mhm.
increase that quality and get to sound more like the user. I'm thinking that's probably coming.
Well,
We'll
it's
see.
already doing some of that. Like, you can say, "Write in the style of Gary
Yeah.
Halbert,"
Right.
or "Write in
Right.
the style of S Stiff and Georgie,"
Right.
like
Right.
famous people, and
Yeah.
it'll approximate them.
Yeah.
I don't
And
think it's
let's
quite at the phase of saying, "Write in the style of Carma Spence."
Well, that's what we should be doing when people. And that's the problem that I have with the generative AI stuff. It's killing creativity. I think you can use it to be creative. Like I use Excel to do my math and spreadsheets. That's fine.
Right,
But when you use AI to the point where, like you said, there's no human on the governing it, throttling it, editing it, you're
right.
cheating yourself of an opportunity to be creative. And human beings are are creative. It's the only thing we can do to separate ourselves from everything else out there. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It reminds me of there was an Isaac Asimov short story.
Mhm.
I think he wrote it in the 50s, where he
Okay.
gets a computer and he starts writing, and then it starts finishing his sentences, and by the end of the short story, it's just writing the stuff for him.
Yeah. That was
He
written in
can
the
just like
50s? That's in the 50s? That
I think
story?
it was in the 50s. It may have been in the 60s, I don't remember,
Whatever,
but
still, that's
it was
interesting.
still it was a few years ago.
Right. Yeah, it's the humanity thing is something that's what I got a couple talks coming up this year about the power of humanity and the shadow of AI, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
it's here, we're going to use it. And my byline is, it's okay to use AI. Don't let AI use you,
Yeah.
right? And that's the biggest thing that I'm you know talking about, because we're going to use it. We can't avoid it. It's going to disrupt a lot of things. But I
Yeah.
have one friend he had like 5 copywriters. He's down to 2 now because he's training them in AI to help them. They're still
Yeah.
like putting emotion and humanity into their copy, but they can do it so much faster now. They don't need as
Right.
many people. So
Right.
I
And,
think,
companies like YouTube and Amazon are now asking you,
yeah,
"Did you use AI to do this?"
yeah, right.
Now, I understand that if you use it as your brainstorming buddy, you don't have to say, "Yes, I did." It's if you used it to write the copy
Yeah,
or change what we're saying in a
right.
video, then you have to say,
Yeah.
"Yes, yes, I did
Like, who's going to say yes to that?
that." I know. I know. It is right still, it's it's trusting you to say the right thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah. The internet's so trustworthy. So, you got a new book coming out. I want to talk about your book. What do you got coming out? You have a copy of it? You want to hold it up, or you got something there?
Well, the first 4 books I did this year are all digital, so I don't have
Okay.
copies.
Okay.
And the next book that's coming out in September,
Yes.
I'm still researching.
Okay, great. Which one do you want people to go to when they watch this show or notes? What do you want to put down there? You got a
The
favorite one?
Author's Journey series, it's the 4 books I've already published. It
Okay.
goes you from idea, outline, writing, editing, and the latest one is all about book marketing and the book marketing buffet.
That book marketing buffet. I want to read that one.
Yeah, it's called Serve Up Your Book, and I use a food motif throughout.
Serve
Yeah,
Up Your Book by
serve
Carma
up your book.
Spence. Is that
That's it.
on the one you want me to go to Amazon or your website to get that? What are we
Amazon.
talking?
That's the only place to get it is Amazon.
All right, you go to Amazon and you can just go right to Carma Spence and see all her books there and get whichever one you want. I'm going to go read this
Exactly.
one this week in Karma, so I appreciate that one. I'm serving
Yes.
the marketing thing. That's
Serve up
good.
the books.
It's so great to see you again. Thank you so much for being on the show today,
Yeah.
folks. Karma Spence, friend, fellow entrepreneur and author and writer and publisher. She's a great gal. Check out her book. You can't go wrong with it. Thank you so much, Karma, for being on the show today,
Sure
and
thing.
hope to see you again real soon.
All right. Take care.
You bet.